Secretary, who's going to call? Who's going to do the roll call?
Good evening. Welcome to the Timberlane Regional School District Budget Committee meeting. Tonight is May 20th. Jeff, could you please call the roll?
It'd be my pleasure. Mike Mascola,
I'm here.
Phil Sherwood,
Yeah.
John Hughes,
Here.
Peter Belo,
I'm here.
David Gurns,
Here.
Alan David,
Here.
Brian Boyle, Todd McCormick, Julie Hammond. We have a quorum.
Good, and I just saw our car pull in, so, and I think that's Brian. All right, if you could all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
We're going to stand up.
Okay, Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business is to approve the meeting minutes from April 11th. You should have a copy in your folder.
Make the motion?
So Peter makes a motion to
Approve.
them.
Second.
David will second. Give you all a moment to take a peek at them. Sarah does a good job on these.
Is that a Budweiser?
Welcome, Mr. Boyle.
How are you?
We're down to meeting minutes. That's all we are so far. So you can put Brian arrived at 7:03. All right.
Switch?
Oh, no.
Sure.
Anybody have any
Sure, Sarah
questions,
Powell.
changes for the meeting minutes from April 11th? Seeing none, all those in favor? You guys should keep your hands up so our recording secretary can get all the names. So Phil, Peter, myself, David, and John. And then abstentions? Alan and Brian. Perfect.
502.
Correct.
Probably wait 3 minutes. I'll probably vote to approve.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. New business. So what I have under new business is the appointment for the Budget Committee representative to the SAU Withdrawal Committee. And we're going to just take a quick pause because we are picking up another member.
This is crazy.
This is awesome. So Julie's arriving at 7:04.
3.
Julie, we're down to item 4. 5. So what we did at the April 11th is I actually appointed John Hughes, and what I'm looking to do now is I want some clarification. I want to clean it up, and I want to have the board make a formal motion for this appointment. So, yes, Peter.
I would be honored to nominate Mr. Hughes as our representative to this
I would
August
too, but he already
committee.
beat me to it.
Sorry.
So I just want to clear it up. Jeff, does it nominate the appointment for this committee?
I would recommend maybe a motion to appoint.
Okay, then same thing, but motion to appoint.
Okay. Motion to appoint John Hughes to the SAU
Yeah.
55 Withdrawal Committee, and a second by Alan David. Sorry. All right. We've got a motion. We got it seconded. Is there any discussion on this? All right. If no discussion, all those in favor of this motion, please raise your hand and hold them up so Jeff can do this.
Perfect.
And so you got unanimous.
Yeah.
I didn't think we are going to see anything different, so thank you, everybody, and thank you, John. That would be 5A. And so now 5B, I've asked John to give us an update on what he's seen in this committee. So the floor is yours.
All right. So we've had 3 meetings total so far. I wasn't able to make the first one because of a scheduling change that they moved the night of the meeting because of notice. So I was out of town on that day. So really, I've had 2 meetings where we've jumped in. A lot of information has been presented, both from the SAU. I think everybody got copies of what was presented to us. It was an 85-page agenda. A lot of that was a broken-up spreadsheet, but there were members on the board that or on the committee that are pulling information. There's a lot of data and spreadsheets that we're looking at. Mostly, we're looking at financial at this point. There's really hasn't been a whole lot of talk about anything else but financial, because the SAU is a financial management piece for us, most part. The two districts are separated with their own curriculum, their own educational pieces, so we don't really interact. So it really is a financial separation, and then oversight with the SAU, the superintendent of all the educational pieces of it. So we've had, I'm sure you've all seen the original pro forma that the SAU put out as a way to get us started in looking at the budget. We came back and asked them to extend it out because we have contracts in place for staff. So the superintendent and the business manager and the business ops, and they all have multi-year contracts right now. Most of the rest of the staff have one-year contracts that go to the end of the school year. So what would it look like, because we're in those contracts, are we liable to have to pay those contracts until they expire? So, Jeff went ahead and added extra years of paying until those contracts expire and what that would look like. So, the original breakout was that, if we went in 1920 school year, then it would be, as far as the offset, $728,000 extra we would have to be paying on top of what we pay now, coming out to, $2.6 million for a budget for the SAU because of those obligations. Going out a couple of years, it drops it down to like $489,000 extra as far as those liabilities that continue on. But that is in addition to the full SAU budget. So you take what we would be paying for the full budget and then add those contractual obligations we would be paying outside of our own SAU. So right now we're trying to, look at how that money should be, put into a budget for us as an SAU. And do we have to have those contractual obligations to that certain point? What's the transition from one SAU to another, and what would the cost be? So we've looked at a lot of other districts that have gone through, some that also have recommended not to withdraw, and others that have. When you look at the numbers in the spreadsheet that we have of a lot of the different SAUs out there, and you look at the ones that have numbers of students enrolled that they manage, like ours, most of them are single district SAUs. So when you go through and look at them, and we're talking large areas, or ones that are similar, Londonderry, Derry. When we look at the ones Pelham and Wyndham had separated out, and there's some similarities there. They're all single districts, and a lot of the times the reasons that you look at for that control isn't so much as that change is more for control of their own. It seems there's most of the advisability of it is based on the fact that it gives them more control over their district. They have more control in their budgeting. You have less meetings with different boards to keep, to manage your district. But there is a financial piece to both districts, and we have to look at that. So at the last meeting, what we decided is to move forward with putting the plan together, which is a big bulk of that is going to be building a budget and what would it look like. Because I feel that I can't say it's advisable unless I know what the total impact is going to be, not just looking at rudimentary numbers. So when you hear about that we're building the plan, it's to get the plan started, because it all has to be part of the plan anyways, and then we have to, as a committee, vote on whether it's advisable. So my goal is to give you as much information that I'm getting, because I'm representing the budget committee for Timberline. So I'm hoping to get feedback from you all. So I'm going to forward things to Mike. He's going to forward them on. Right now we're just looking at the numbers that have come out of the SAU. We're gathering our own numbers. I'm meeting with Karen Steele, has been She seems to live spreadsheets, and she's accumulating a lot of information. So her and I are meeting on Wednesday afternoon, and we're going to go over some budgeting and spreadsheet preparation for the next meeting on the 28th. We have others that have gone off with tasks and looking at organization and what that would look like. We have job descriptions, and it's tough to look at one district and another, because whereas we have some roles at the SAU and some in the district, when you look at single district SAUs, they're all blended in because they're all part of the same. The district and the SAU are the same thing at that level. So it's hard to tell, when we move positions around, what our organization will look like. So that's what they're going to be looking at. And I know that when we look at some of the other withdrawals, towns have gone out and they've asked other ones that have gone through it, would you do it again? Are you happy? And the consensus has been, yes, this was a good thing for us. But there have been towns that have said, no, we don't want to withdraw. It's not in our best interest. The cost is too great for us. So we just need to really understand the cost for us and what it's going to, and then it'll go to the voters. The voters will decide. If you watch the meeting, I brought up that there have been times where the committee recommended not to withdraw, and it went to the voters, and they voted against that, which means you have to form another committee, and they have to do another plan. So there are times that the committee could come out forward and say whether it's advisable or not, and the voters decide differently and start the process over again. So no matter what comes out of the committee as far as our recommendation, it ultimately is going to be the voters that choose which way to go. Again, 3 meetings so far. We've got a whole summer's worth that we have to do. We do have a timeline. There are certain deadlines to meet for public hearing, so we're hoping to get as much information together and meet every other week. And if we have to, we'll meet more. But again, I'm going to be, because we don't meet, this meeting here, I didn't send anything out because I knew we were meeting to discuss. But I will be sending like I did last week. We'll have that out. We'll get some more. I'll have last week's information sent out. It is online on the website if you want to go and look at it. In the agenda packet is all this information that I have here. So the updated pro forma budget, and as well as some of the breakouts of salaries and benefits and things like that. So, I do recommend that everybody just tries to keep an eye on it as a committee. This is a pretty important committee. Things are going to move kind of fast through the summer, and I would like to have input from everybody if they can. I can form my own opinion, but I would like some information, some feedback from this committee as well. And I believe Dr. Farah and Jen Silver are going to do the same of the school board, to reach out and find out, ask people for their opinions of the school board members as well, from my discussions with Dr. Farah. And with that, if anybody has any feedback, if you have anything you think that we should be looking at number-wise, or have any information you want to send over to the committee, feel free, send it to me, and I'll bring it up to the committee.
All right, so your next meeting is the 28th, you said?
Yep. So we have next Tuesday, after the long weekend, we'll be meeting here. So far, our audience has been one member, actually 2. We had 2 people at the last one.
It's more than us.
Yeah, well, that's why I mentioned that too. So I'm sure people are following along at home. And again, I'm hoping everybody, as we mentioned before the meeting started, that people are keeping an open mind on it. There's no way you can make a decision yet based on our numbers that we have now. At least I'm not making a decision yet. I still need more information. And again, I think it's mostly financial. A change of the superintendent does affect if the SAU breaks off and you put a new superintendent in charge, the structure of the schools will change educationally, depending on what their view of that is. I'm sure they'll be working with the school board, and as we've seen recently, there were changes with deans being implemented because the superintendent had a vision of how that structure should be. We don't know what another superintendent's vision would be, but again, that would all be based on whoever they hire. It would not be this committee to do that. That would be, a superintendent search committee. There'd be a committee to put all those people in place. And that's going to be part of it too. How do you create a new SAU, and who gets put in place to do that? Contracts will have to be negotiated. Salaries, so we'll take a shot at it, but it won't be what the numbers will be in the end, because we don't know what the contracts will end up being. So it's all speculation, really, and it's going to be our best guess at what things are going to be. So, like I said, keep an open flow of information. I'll send it out through Mike, and you guys can directly respond back to me.
Anybody have any questions for John?
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thank you. So, I mean, like I said, so he already sent out round one of information. You can respond directly back to John with stuff, but I think it's a good point, is just take a look at it, even if you just send it back and saying, I think it's on track what you're doing, or any feedback you can. So, thank you.
No problem.
All right. That would be our withdrawal committee update. This meeting was intended to be brief with our topics, and we've covered them. I have no other information to go through. So before we adjourn, our next scheduled meeting is set for September 12th, Thursday, which is when we'll resume. So that's all I've got. If nobody has any other information to come in front of this board, I'm going to look for a motion to adjourn.
Like Timberlane softball hats on sale.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
David makes a motion to adjourn at 7:18.
What's the price? 2 for 1,
I second that motion.
Seconded by Peter Belo. All those in favor of adjourning, raise your hands. And you've got unanimous at 7:18.
I try and plug it with the kids.
Thank you.
Saying that's a soft life?